Well, this afternoon, the attention switches to the All-Ireland champions and the Munster champions. It's Cork versus Waterford. Throw-in is at 2:30. And here indeed is the scene at Thurles. The fans, as usual, arriving in their thousands and thousands, all roads leading to Thurles today. Well, certainly all roads from Waterford and Cork anyway. Hello, you're very welcome to our Sunday game for this week. Yeah, just one live game for you this afternoon because of our sporting events elsewhere. But what a game it is. Well, last year, these two counties served up the game of the championship when they met here in Semple Stadium in the Munster final. Well, even half of that quality of play would be worth the admission price this afternoon. Now, with me here in studio, and looking forward to the big game, we have Gerlach Nan and Cyril Farrell. Gentlemen, very welcome indeed. I'll be talking to them in just a few minutes. But first, though, let's just take a quick look at the schedule for the programme this afternoon. 53555, or you can email us at sundaygame@rte.ie. All the information there on the screen for you. Well, I suppose, Cyril and Ger, because of the quality of this game last year, everybody is expecting something similar. Is it too much to ask?
Well, of course, all minds are on last year in the game they had, but last year's game was a month later. Coming into that game, we knew the form of Waterford because they demolished there, they had beaten Tipperary. We knew the form of Cork. I think the conundrum we're in today is we don't know the form of either team because neither team bothered with the league. Cork got out of it early, so did Waterford. So big questions over the current form, especially of Waterford. But Limerick and Tipperary set the agenda last night, and we just want something to follow on that today. Yeah,
well, there's no doubt it's going to be a right battle, Cyril, any day that these two teams meet. During the week, obviously, all the talk, Ken McGrath, Paul Flynn, the injuries to them and so on. Now Cork have a problem with Timmy McCarthy, so I suppose not exactly balancing itself out, but these are always the things you get going into a big match like this.
Yeah, that's ironic, you know, that Ken McGrath and Paul Flynn will start, and there's a doubt over Timmy McCarthy. Waterford need McGrath and Flynn playing, and they need them playing really well. What Gerard is true, the two counties kind of opted out of the league, but Cork are more settled. 14 or 15, you could pick 14 in the Cork team to hurt them, give or take one.
Yeah.
Whereas Waterford a little bit unbalanced. Again, they're trying to get the back line out in the goalie. New full back today with Fergal Hartley's experience, but not as full back, and Stephen Brenner's back and goals. They're the big kind of question marks. But if they come up trumps, I still think we're going to have a fantastic game today because, okay, the conditions aren't great, but you saw last night in Limerick, like, conditions, Munster Championship brings its own kind of an atmosphere, and you have it here today, even downtown. There's an atmosphere around town that's kind of like a flag cure or something, and they're all come up to the match now. So, promise to be a great game.
And a brisk trade and umbrellas as well downtown. But now, at this stage, let's take a check around some of the other venues for this afternoon's big matches. In a moment, we'll be hearing from for the last few minutes of the pictures here on the pitch in Thurles. The sun is shining 1 minute, it's raining another minute. When people put the highlights together of this, it looked like it'd be two different matches. Yeah,
and I was down at a local pitch, the smaller crowd of young lads, and saw them training, and while showers come as well, the pitch underneath is hard and it's making it very, very slippy. The cogs today will have a big bearing on it, but like the skill level even last night was very high. It'll be very high here because Cork are a very, very skillful game. It'd be interesting to see whether Tim McCarthy plays or not. If he doesn't, probably Neil Ronan on his league form will come in, and you know he's a pretty good forward as well. Yeah. Waterford will be hoping that Kim McGrath comes through. It's his first game for a good few months. Like, he's a colossus in that team, and they really need to play well. And Paul Flynn, they need them all. But like, you know, we're going to have a great one, and like the occasion is going to give us that.
Well, the cheer going up at the moment, Cyril, for the Waterford team. They are the Munster champions, and this is the Munster Championship, and here they come. But surely Neil Ronan, going back to the Cork team for the moment, Neil Ronan is in instead of Timmy McCarthy, so that's a change. That's really the natural change there, I suppose, if Timmy wasn't playing.
Yeah, Neil Ronan, he was away last year in Australia, came back this year, made a big impression in the league, especially in the early stages of the league. I think the big question over Neil is how he will perform at championship level. He hasn't yet produced the goods on a real intense championship day, so a huge opportunity for him. And I think the fact that he didn't know until maybe an hour ago that he was on will actually help him coming into the game. So
not thinking too much about it, not getting too nervous about it.
He's a very skillful player. He's a great finisher. Maybe, you know, it could be, this could be the kind of game that would suit him.
Yeah. Another replay, Cyril, at the end of this?
No, I don't think there'll be replay today. Like, even last night it looked like the replay against, but I think someone will win this today on the league form that you're going on. Like, Cork should win this because like they have a more balanced team, but Waterford are Munster champions. They have been very consistent the last few years, and I expect Waterford to get a Munster. If you let Cork into a pattern, Cork will dominate.
You see, it just goes to show you how much you're looking at Paul Flynn there a moment ago, Jerry.
Well, I mean, it's a huge boost to Waterford that Paul Phelan and Ken McGrath are playing today. I think Waterford knew for a long time that both of those would be playing because they had their sessions behind closed doors, which always leads you to the suspicion,
as you know,
that everything is okay. And the fact they had that, I was absolutely confident that both players would play today. But Flynn, especially, well, Ken McGrath obviously centre back is vital, but Flynn, you know, when he's playing well, everything seems to go well around him. Although he has that terrible record, on the day he does play well, that Waterford actually lose the games. You know, that's been a record up to now. But against Cork, he's a great record against Cork. And when you think of Milan, Dan Shanahan, Owen Kelly, you know, Waterford have a lethal forward line. In fact, you could argue that they're the best forward line in the country. The big Achilles is that we all of Waterford, that we all know, of course, is their full back line. We'll come to that later. But there you are. You see the Cork team there. Pat Mulcahy, so lucky to have a player of Pat Mulcahy's ability to come in instead of the injured Wayne Sherlock. All the rest of them, apart from Noel Rowan of Wingfowl, the very same as the team that won the All-Ireland last year.
Absolutely, yeah. And apart from Sherlock, obviously, you know, that's some team, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of young lads coming through. The underage in Cork, Michael, was very, very strong. There's always one or two trying to come through in that team. Kieran Murphy from last, you know, he had a good All-Ireland final, maybe not good before that. He was trying to, even though he's on the team, to really stabilise himself on the team. Cork is back again full forward, kind of as the daddy of the team. Niall McCarthy kind of really stood in last year centre forward and made it his own, like, you know, and you have the two O'Connors around midfield, wing forward, Tom Kinney coming through from centre field. Like, they are very, very good touch hurlers. If they're allowed to get on top, they could put you out of the gate.
Well, indeed, Ger, you have been looking at this Cork team, particularly you're looking at their midfield.
Well, if you think of the match here last year, that we were all at last year, and the Cork actually lost the game. And I think they lost the game on the basis of that forwards not being good enough. Now, they came in a new plan after that, where they developed our two midfielders into real runners in the game. As two extra forwards, if you like. Now watch just where they show up. Jerry O'Connor over here. They can show up anywhere in the forward line, and he's in here as far as the 21-yard line. So Cork now have, instead of 6 forwards, they have 8 forwards. They use their two midfielders as 2 extra forwards. Get the ball, move forward. If they get space, they're going to shoot for a score. If they don't get space, they're going to lay it off to a forward. That's the real tactic. Now here we see them when they're breaking forward. This is a terrific move. Now watch Tom Kinney going through the centre here. He has, you think it's an open gap. It's a complete open gap. He gets through to 21 and he buries it in the net. Now why? Because Niall McCarthy, central to this Cork team, had dragged the centre back off out to the wing, leaving this empty channel down the centre. And all teams with any ambitions of beating Cork from now on have got to have a ploy to counteract that. They must either bring back one of their midfielders or else bring back one of their wing forwards to cover that space. Because if you leave that space open, Tom Kinney, Jerry O'Connor are going to race through that centre and they're going to get scores. What's the best tactic to stop them there? Very difficult to know. I think that Ken McGrath will just hold the centre. He'll hold that spot, won't leave that gap there today, and get somebody else to cover back on the man coming through.
Okay, sir, let's have a look at the Waterford team, because we weren't quite sure what Waterford team we're going to be seeing today, but I think maybe a lot of people felt that Ken and Paul were going to be here all right. This is the line-out anyway. That
they have their strongest team on duty, like, and again when they're playing on song, they're capable of blowing in and out the gate. Like Kim McGrath and suppose John Milan, they to me are the spiritual leaders of the team. If these two guys play really well, like, anything can happen for Waterford. And McGrath usually leads from the back. He can play him centre forward, centre field, or you know, anywhere you like really. Usually plays centre back. We show slips coming up now here in Mount. He's kind of driving forward and getting up to Milan up front. Their forward line, as Ger says, is very good. It's back in the backs, but like to counteract the Cork kind of running through, Ger was saying that they'll have to hold that back, but both midfielders are going to have to track back as well, and they're going to have to bring body tackles. Like, there was no Wexford man in last year's semi-final in Croke Park actually hit a body tackle at all. You can't have just these as running through and not being tackled. So you'll have to track back one-to-one, more like a soccer style really than a hurling style. But that's going into it. It's kind of foreign to Cork hurling that they're actually carrying the ball and hand pass to another. Most of the Cork would look kind of direct, kind of flick, but direct hurling. They're gone from that now, but they're suiting a system that actually suits the players they have. It's up to Waterford to counteract it.
We've been mentioning Ken McGrath, obviously, and John Milan in a conversation, as well as Paul Flynn there in Portsmouth. But Milan is such an important player, and McGrath, of course.
Milan, like, is probably the find of the last 2 or 3 years. Fantastic hurler, probably worth his weight in goal. Here you see Ken McGrath, long ball up the field. Now this is against Cork. Cork. The ball, you think much isn't going to happen, but here now, Milan is going to get onto this. And look what he does here. Thurles takes a few steps, goes back in between 2 men, like, and takes an impossible shot from here. Eventually swings this over the bar. This guy, on song, he can do anything. Now, if he gets his temperament right, he's capable of winning a game of his own. Now, it's up to himself to do this. Here again, you see him going right through here. Drew to tip the fence, bang, back of net, left-handed. This guy can, do, you know, ignite the whole team when he plays up to form. Here again, we see Waterford attacking. Ken McGrath has a look up, bang. He's at least 85, 90 yards out there. Not that the goalie can do, but just look up over the bar. For Waterford to win, they have to play up, you know, up to their standard. And if they do, like, there's a great chance.
Sure. OK, it's time for us to hear from the rival managers. Now, this time last year it was Donal O'Grady who was preparing Cork to face Waterford. This time it's John Allen, while still in charge with Waterford. Another Cork man, of course, Justin McCarthy. They've been talking to Tony O'Donoghue.
Waterford manager Justin McCarthy joins me. Justin, you had doubts concerning Ken McGrath and Paul O'Flynn. Both are fit to play.
Yeah, both players are taking their positions as in the programme, and they'll be taking part, yes.
Were you worried about their fitness?
Yeah, a little bit worried earlier on, but you know, good treatment during the week, and thankfully they've come through, so we're taking the chance with them.
Last year's game was considered a classic by many people. Will you be able to match the intensity this year?
Well, I suppose it's hard to match last year's game, but it was a classic, all right. But you know, this will be a very good game too, I'd imagine. You know, the underfoot conditions might be a little bit slippery here and there, but overall, I think that will be a very good game.
The weather conditions today, will they be significant?
Yeah, here and there, you know, the ball can get a little bit heavier maybe, and you know, slipping and sliding. But overall, I think, you know, lads will get on with it. They're used to all types of conditions now these days.
You're Munster champions. You want to maintain that, hang on to your crown.
Well, that's the idea. That's what we're here for.
John Allen, we haven't seen this before. The reigning All-Ireland champions against the reigning Munster champions. Could be another classic.
Well, hopefully, you know, I suppose the weather today isn't as good as it was the last time we played. You know, the field is probably slippery and it will be a bit of a lottery, but as you said, we have the All-Ireland champions against the Munster champions, and the prizes are placed in one of the great occasions of sport, the Munster final, so, you know, everything to play for, Tony.
What about your own team's mood at the moment? How would you rate it?
Well, it's very good. I suppose it's hard to kind of gauge before, especially before your first match, as to how things are, but training has gone very well. Our team are in great form. We were out this morning in Dundrum, and you know, as far as we can gauge, everything is according to plan, Tony.
It's a very settled looking Cork team, very close to your All-Ireland winning team from last year.
It is. Wayne Sherlock almost made it. You know, another 2 weeks he probably would have made it, and other than that, 14 as a team are playing, so that's great from our point of view.
OK, we take a quick break ahead of this afternoon's throw-in. We're back after that with, indeed, Cork versus Waterford here in Thurles. Put your money in it, Ger. Who's going to win it?
Well, when you look at Cork, Michael, you know, this very same team practically they had last year, a team that won the All-Ireland after developing this new style, which they didn't have really in the Munster final last year. Now look at Waterford. A goalie who was dropped last year, a cornerback who was dropped last year, a fullback who was retired.
Yes.
You know, these big question marks there. After that, you can have only one prediction, and that is Waterford to win. It's like you can't sing, you can't dance, you go a long way. But I think Waterford have a great chance today. I think, especially in these conditions. Yeah. I think a lot depends on their mood. You know, with Waterford, everything depends on their mood. If they're in the right mood today, and when they come into a game as real underdogs, they want to show everybody, listen, we've won 2 of the last 3 Munster championships, and I think they'll be able to show that today. I give them a great chance of winning.
Do you agree?
Yeah, well, you can see how Clare won the All-Ireland with this fella, the psychology that he's working. He talks up, one team goes, but yeah, well, like Waterford are the Munster champions.
I thought it was just stupid.
No, I think Cork more balanced. You know, okay, depends on what Waterford team turn up. There's still a question mark over Waterford. On a given day, they can blow anyone out the gate, but they're not really kind of consistent. No, they'll say they won the last 2 Munster championships, but they have never progressed that step or two further.
Is that not people like ourselves being unfair to them? I mean, they are the Munster champions. They've won those 2 Munster championships in 3 years. I mean, still people asking questions about them. Surely they've answered those.
Listen to me. A Munster championship now, Michael, and a Leinster championship. You win the cup and you'll put it in the boot of the car. That's all it'll count for. Cork won no Munster championship last year. Okay, they'd love to win it, but they have the All-Ireland. That's all that counts. If Kilkenny were the hottest favourites ever to win a Leinster championship this year, if they win the Leinster championship, which they should, and lose the All-Ireland, that Leinster championship won't count. Okay, it's lovely down here, but I think today that Cork should get through. They're just that bit more consistent, and if they play to the form, they should win this match.
Well, gentlemen, you've just seen the throw and the toss of the coin, I should say, in the middle of the field. Seamus Roach from Kilsheelan is the referee, temporary referee here today. So that's the scene then. It's time now for us to join our commentary team for the game. They are Tomas Mulcahy and first first. Marty Morrissey.
Thank you very much, Michael. Welcome to Semple Stadium here in Thurles for the 52nd championship match between Cork and Waterford. And history would certainly favour Sean O'Halpine's side with 38 wins. Waterford have 10 victories and 3 draws. And indeed, history also favours the Leesiders. Cork are bidding for their 48th Munster title this season, while Waterford, of course, are going for their 8th. So let's take a brief check now on how the teams will line out. 14 of the 15 that started for the Leesiders in last year's All-Ireland final get the green light again. The only change is at corner back, where Pat Mulcahy replaced the injured Wayne Sherlock. The attack has that one late change, Neil Ronan replacing Timmy McCarthy in the half-forward line. But if it's leadership that's required today, then look no further than full-forward Brian Corcoran, who continues to exert a huge, huge influence on this Cork side. 32-year-old Brian Corcoran, very much an influential factor in this performance today, particularly when you consider the Waterford line-out. And the Munster champions fill the vacancies left during the week at centre-back and left corner forward, respectively, with Ken McGrath and Paul Flynn. Ken McGrath's availability is a massive bonus, but conversely, Paul Flynn's performance up in the forward line is adding a huge dimension. Well, Waterford's trump card could turn out to be Dan Shanahan. Dan the man was in brilliant form last season. The question is, can he reproduce it in 2005? Last year's Munster final attracted the largest crowd ever to watch a Cork-Waterford championship match, 52,833. And as the teams march behind the Sean Tracy band here from County Tipperary, certainly this arena, this cauldron of passion and indeed emotion, is certainly looking fairly packed. It mightn't be 50,000, but it must be around 45,000. It's the 12th championship match for Justin McCarthy, the Corkman from Passage West, that played in the 1966 All-Ireland final for his native Cork, a county that he loves, but he also loves managing Waterford. And during his managerial career over the last 4 seasons, Justin McCarthy has registered 6 victories, 4 defeats, and just 1 draw. Now, can he defeat Cork in this season's Munster Championship semi-final? Well, joining me is former Cork star Tomás Mulcahy. What do you think?
Well, Marty, I suppose Cork maybe will start like favourites on the basis they're all-Ireland champions, but if we go back to last year, I mean, when the game had gone against Waterford and they were down to that 14 men, maybe people questioned their ability to bounce back, and they certainly showed that they never give up the ghost. And I mean, today will be particularly important as well on that basis. And I suppose the 2 injury worries in the Waterford camp, Ken McGrath and the Paul Flynn's, right? I mean, those starting today are a huge, huge boost for Waterford. I mean, those quality players, they cannot afford to be out the likes of that quality within their team. And on the other side, Cork have not risked Wayne Sherlock. He's been back training with the team. He trained played in a game last week with them. But they have the quality in reserve in defence, certainly. And bringing in Pat Mulcahy, he's an able substitute. And certainly, I suppose, you're looking down the field, Marty. You hope the gods stay with us and it stays a bit fine. But it's getting very dark again. And the wind seems to be blown right down into the city and the Thurles here, and whoever plays with the elements in the first half with the wind will be looking to push home that advantage in that first half period.
Well, as you said, Tomás, hopefully the wind and rain will stay away, but around Thurles, this wonderful County Tipperary town, it's been like a flagole, I think is the way Cyril Farrell described it. Great music, great banter, great colour. Waterford and indeed Cork travelling to this venue. They were here, I arrived here about 11:15 or so this morning, and it was packed for a Munster Championship semi-final. There's Ken McGrath, very doubtful before the game, broke the collarbone against Kilkenny at the end of February, and his return to this Waterford side is indeed a huge bonus. Will he play at centre-back? Will he play at midfield? These are the questions that we don't have the answers so far, but we do expect Waterford to make several alterations. You could possibly see, Tomás, Owen Murphy going back to cornerback, James Murray out onto the wing, and will Dan Shanahan start and John Gardner?
Well, I suppose, I mean, if you're Waterford, I mean, that's where Dan was very successful last year, certainly, and particularly on the puck-outs, high balls coming down on top of him. He won the aerial battle with John Gardner before they switched on O'Halpine over on top of him again. And certainly will we see Dan popping up in and around the square. I mean, I think he got 7 goals last year in the championship, Marty. I mean, is he going to continue on that blaze of glory that he had and he finished up with last year?
Well, last year's Munster final, Waterford at one stage were 5 points down. John Milan had been sent off and playing against the wind. That's the character that's in this Waterford side. And certainly talking to several of them, they're setting their sights on Croke Park. They haven't been in an All-Ireland hurling final. This is Waterford since 1963. It's a long, long time.
Yes, I mean, I know there's cock blood in me, Marty, but I'm sure, I mean, anybody around the country would love to see Waterford get to an All-Ireland final, you know, and I think the players themselves have been very key by the fact that they've won 2 of the last 3 Munster finals. They haven't made an All-Ireland final appearance out of it. Maybe this is their chance. I mean, certainly they've quality within their team to go progress.
Well, we're going to pause now momentarily for the national anthem, which is going to be sung today by the Tipperary Score Sheemser Solo Song Champion for 2005 from Boris Ali. Anne-Marie Kavanagh has the honour of singing the national anthem here in Semple Stadium for this Munster Championship semi-final. Well done, Anne-Marie Kavanagh. The scene is set for the battle of the champions. The Munster champions from Waterford, the All-Ireland champions from Cork. Who's going to qualify for the Munster hurling final of 2005 on the 26th of June? Neil Ronan has gained selection. He was in Australia last year. Here's Seamus Roach refereeing his second Munster Championship match from County Tipperary, Kilsheelan. And it's Cork playing from right to left in a game that if it lives up to, I think Tomas said it last weekend in the Sunday game, that if it lived up 50% of what we saw last year, this is going to be a really good game of hurling. First free of the match is given to Cork and to Ben O'Connor.
Yeah, Martin, you just said a lot of changes in the Waterford lineup. Owen Murphy's gone into cornerback and James Murray's gone out to left half-back, and you've got Michael Walsh gone to centre field, and you've got Dan Shannon who's been on the 40, he's gone in on top of Ronan Curran. Obviously, I mean, that half-back line for Cork has been dominant in all the games that are played, and they're going to try to break the thread there, and they've placed Dan in the centre position.
All those changes were really anticipated as Ben O'Connor gets this one in. Well gathered by Fergal Hartley. Loses out, comes to Jodine. Goal for Cork. What an astonishing start by the All-Ireland champions. The little rocket from Killa. Here was Fergal Hartley losing possession. Dean unmarked, cracked it past Stephen Brenner. The Waterford keeper had absolutely no chance. Dermot O'Sullivan, Neil Ronan, pumping it in behind Fergal Hartley. Coming across, trying to get there is Kieran Murphy. Battling with Owen Murphy, who's now playing, as Tomas said, at left corner back. Fergal Hartley taking too many steps. The 33-year-old from Ballygunner, all-star centre-back in 2002, being punished here by the referee for taking too many steps. It's not a bright start for the man who has just returned. No, Marty, and certainly, I mean, a great tonic start for Cork. I mean, no man in a better position than Jodine. I mean, when he gets the ball, it's going to be in the back of the net, but I mean, it was a big mistake by Fergal Hartley. Tried to get the hand pass away out to the corner position and left the ball behind him. And Jodine has added the point. A goal and a point for the All-Ireland champions in just 2 minutes played. Still cloudy around County Tipperary, but thankfully the rain has stayed away. A swirling breeze here as Waterford going to the attack for the very first time. Pat Mulcahy under a little bit of pressure. It's the centre half back, Ronan Curran from St. Finbarr's. This time the free goes to the Waterford man. Chance for Waterford to put a little bit of pressure perhaps on Donald O'Cusick and the Cork defence. As you can see, Paul Phelan has that knee heavily strapped, injured his knee ligaments in the club championship match against Ballyduff Lower, and then aggravated in a challenge match against Tipperary a few weeks ago. How about his free-taking duties? Straight over the bar, first point for Waterford. Such a vital cog on this Waterford side. Paul Phelan, so anxious to start as well. He was really putting pressure on himself, but he came through the test.
Yeah, we've all known him maybe as a corner forward or full forward, and I suppose like I see his best position maybe out in the wing. Certainly he gets more room there, and he's such a range of skills. I mean, left and right, he's able to strike the ball over bar, and certainly that's a good return from him there, just to get the point from the free, setting them down a small bit. I mean, there's early stages in this game, they're well in it.
A little bit of pressure here again on the Waterford defence. Van Corcoran got it touched momentarily, lashed down over towards this side. John Milan unable to keep it in, renewing his acquaintance with Brian Murphy from last year's Munster hurling final. Sean O'Halpine, what a fabulous year he had last year. Hurler of the year, following in the footsteps now of great players like Tony O'Sullivan, captain in 1991, and Mark Mullins, captain in 96, all in the Piercing men. Well gathered this time by Tony Brown from another famous club in Waterford City, Mount Sion. Comes down for his own McGrath, younger brother of All-Star Ken. They're lashing this in. Donald Cusick comes off his line, spots it, watches it all the way, and that's good goalkeeping by the young goalkeeper from Cloyne. Waterford defence coming to terms gradually, settling after that blistering start by Cork. Comes outside, finds the Waterford captain, Owen Kelly. Oh, that's a great effort. That is a superb captain's point.
Fantastic reply again, and fantastic score, and very noticeable again, the ball going over the bar there. Watch again, it's a great strike. Very difficult angle. But watch the ball as it goes across the square again over the bar. There's Dan Shannon standing at the edge of the square again, just in case that ball is going to drop short.
Quick puck out comes as far as Ronan Curran. John Gardner playing no doubt in his best position. He started last year's championship at centre field, but I think it was you actually said it to me, his best position has to be right half back.
No doubt about that, and certainly he's played a 2 games in the National League centre back as well, and he's equally as dominant there. But again, from a Water perspective, again, I mean, Cork have shown their hand last year with the sharp puck outs and these quick frees and quick deliveries and stuff. If you were Waterford, you would want to be closing down. Don't be turning your back when the ball has gone over the bar, because the ball will be out in a defender's hand before they know it.
Here's Joe Dean out at the far sideline. This one goes to the right and wide. That's Cork's first wide in this Munster semi-final. This is goalkeeper Stephen Brenner. It is puck out. The De La Salle club, another Waterford City club. John O'Halpine. Good hurler, good footballer. Did so well in the international rules last October against Australia. Nicely kept in by the captain, Owen Kelly. He's a man that's on fire this afternoon, hitting it on his left this time, but it's gone to the right and wide. First cousin of Dan Shanahan, All-Star in 2002. That's Owen Kelly. Referee telling Donald O'Cusick to hurry up with the puck out. Nobody readily available, so he has to go for a long one. Down towards Neil Ronan. Tony Brown. Down towards John Milan. Brian Murphy. Steady corner back. Second championship season. He did so well last year as Cork went all the way to Croke Park and won the All-Ireland. Comes out for his centre-half forward Niall McCarthy. Ortiz man of the match in last year's All-Ireland final. Out for his Jerry O'Connor from Newtown Shandrom, and it's sailing beautifully over the bar. One of of the terrible twins from Newtown Shandrum. This is the Jerry O'Connor part of that. Sending it over. Jim O'Sullivan knocking it down to the aforementioned Jerry O'Connor. He is fouled. It's going to be a free for the Leesiders.
It's very interesting, Marty. From those puckouts, Waterford have actually brought Seamus Prendergast right out to left half forward, and Dermot O'Sullivan has followed out as well.
This is the foul on Jerry O'Connor.
Yes, there's a foot trip there, no doubt. It's a free.
John Gardner getting Kieran Murphy to really put his foot on the pedal. Didn't quite get there. Owen Murphy now operating at corner back. Feeds Tony Graham. There's Dan Shanahan. Cork defence, rock solid so far. Sean O'Halkeen makes himself available. Jerry O'Connor is to his left. Opts for the long ball. Good ball. Up fires Brian Corcoran. Fergal Hartley. And indeed the right corner back, Tom Feeney chasing after it. Here's Joe Dean. Oh, high challenge on Dean. Fouled not once but twice, and that has to be a penalty. Waterford protest, but they have absolutely no grounds for protesting because Joe Dean was fouled not once but twice.
No doubt about it, Marty. I mean, it's a definite penalty, and certainly again a mistake again. They're finding it harder around that full back line to hold their feet, and they're slipping and sliding, and it's allowed Joe Dean to get inside his marker again, and it certainly is a high challenge. There's no doubt about that.
Fergal Hartley correctly is shown a yellow card. And when that ball is put in fast, there is a question about the pace of the Waterford full-back line.
Yes, I mean, and you have a greasy surface, Marty. The ball is skidding inside, and they're not very, very comfortable on their feet. They're slipping in possession, and they've lost possession for the first goal. Again, in an instance like that, Joe Dean in behind his marker.
Taking the penalty. He's come all the way from full-back. It's the Rock, Dermot O'Sullivan from Clyde. He really can hit these. He drives it over the bar. I'm not too sure he quite meant that because he usually rattles the net.
He certainly was going for goal there, there's no doubt about that. Just a bit too much height in it and it's gone over the bar.
Stephen Brenner decides to change the direction of the puckouts. Ronan Curran is back there with a new multicolored helmet for the 2004-05 season. This is going to be a sideline ball, goes off a Waterford defender. It's going to be a sideline cut for Cork. Scored 4 points against Waterford last year, Ken O'Connor. A total of 2 goals and 32 points. The championship season all the way to Cork market last September. Puts it nicely in, over towards Joe Dean, batted away. Dan Shanahan and Sean O'Halkeen tussling for it. Good work by Paul Flynn. And right in front of the stand, hits it well, but inaccurately. Second wide of the afternoon for Waterford. But last year's All-Ireland semi-final, Tomas, Kilkenny exposed goalkeeper and full backline problems. I think Cyril Farrell mentioned it in our pre-match chat and discussion. I'm not too sure has the problem been resolved.
No, certainly. I mean, on the basis of the first 10 or 12 minutes of this stage, Marty, hasn't been any time the ball has gone in around the square there, has been mayhem there, and it's one certainly Cork should get the ball in there as quickly as possible. And Joe Dean certainly seems to be on his game today.
Going back to gather this is Fergal Hartley in that new position of full-back. Sean O'Halkeen is beginning to dominate at left half-back. Prominent, first to the ball every time. Nice little bit of vision by Niall McCarthy. Jerry O'Connor hits it sweetly on the turn and sends it over the bar. 2 points for the Newtown Shandrum Star. Now a guy they're based in Anglesey Street in Cork City. Very much on his game at centre field.
Reading the game so well, Marty, playing the position, he's playing the midfield, staying around that spot right between the two halfway lines, and he's picking up plenty of possession. When it's there, Niall McCarthy is looking out to feed him and giving him ready-made ball to put over the bar.
And he's back there now, Tomas, in his own half-back line, helping out his defence. Ball sent down the middle. Waterford man misses it not once but twice. Cork looks so solid in that half-back line. Tom Kenny fires Niall McCarthy, hits it straight over the crossbar. A sequence that is indeed quite memorable. Beautiful piece of play by the All-Ireland champions. Sending it in to McCarthy, the Carrick-Tuathal man representing Cork at centre-half forward, straight over the crossbar. Tom Kenny. The number 4 for Cork is Pat Mulcahy. Out to Sean O'Halpine, who always seems to be available. Joe Dean. Back outside. Neil Ronan trying to get by Tony Brown. Referee right beside him felt that Neil Ronan had taken too many steps. The free is to Waterford, just inside their own 45-metre line.
And even Martin, you can see the way Cork are using possession. When Sean O'Halpine gets it in the wing back, there's no big long clearance. It's a low ball that's going down the wing, feeding the inside men all the time. And very, very evident as well is the dominance of the half-back line. Waterford are not winning any possession at that half-forward line, and that's where the launch pad is for Cork at the moment.
Ken McGrath's free tries to bypass that half-back line and lob it in around the square. But so far, you'd have to say that Cork are dominant, particularly in that half-back line. Tony Brown arrives a little bit late. Tony Brown disagrees, so too does Michael Walsh. Seamus Roach, the referee, is indicating that he won't take any dissent, and he's just given him a caution. Seamus Roach quite demonstrating the reason why. The challenge was here. Yes, he hit him on the back of his head.
You know, so, I mean, it's awkward more than anything else, you know, Marty, and just maybe deserved a little tickling.
Sean O'Halpine telling his forwards to push up, taking the free. Over towards Brian Corcoran and Kieran Murphy. Knocked away. Ken McGrath latches on to the breaking ball. Under a little bit of pressure here. And hit it with his left or his right. Sweet hurler. All the way down for his Dan Shanahan. And the full forward, Seamus Prendergast. Referee spots the foul on the big man from Ardmore. And this is going to be a free for Waterford.
Yes, Marty, there's no doubt. It's a free, it's a push, and push the man over the line, and it's an opportunity for Paul Flynn to maybe get another score on the board for Waterford.
Dermot O'Sullivan manning that Cork full back line. Not just a good hurler, but a man of physique and power.
Don't call him the rock for nothing.
Absolutely, as Paul Flynn sends this to the left and white. And a quick puck out is taken. This is a lesson that Waterford should have learned from last year. And again, it's Jerry O'Connor that makes himself available. Superbly caught by Ken McGrath. And Waterford get the free. But really, the Waterford lads should have copped on to this since almost 12 months ago. John Gardner batting it down. Here's Jerry O'Connor once more. Vibrant, enthusiastic for possession nearly every time. Sean O'Halpine is available if Tom Kenny needed him, but instead it's John Milan trying to take on Brian Murphy. Referee says play on. Knocks it back, fires Dave Bennett, but it's the Cork players that have it once more. Sean O'Halpine stepping by the challenge, lays it off, fires Neil Ronan, who whips it over towards the corner, where Kieran Murphy is busy keeping Owen Murphy company. This one is dropping in. Stephen Brenner has it all the way and lashes it back down the centre of Semple Stadium, down towards his full forward. Knocked forward by Brian Murphy, and it's Murphy once more from the Bride Rovers club, out towards Rathcormac. Sending it down, and that's going to be a sideline ball from Waterford, far side of the field. Nicely cut in. Prendergast is there. So too is Jim O'Sullivan. Such confident play by goalkeeper and full back. John Gardner just a little bit unlucky. The ball skidded off the surface. This is Owen Kelly. Oh, great run by Kelly, and lashing that over the bar for his second point of the afternoon. He really is playing a captain's part.
He is. He's getting a bit of leadership here, certainly, Marty. And I mean, that was a mistake by the Cork backs again, right? I mean, they're a bit casual on the ball. When they're in possession, we know the use of the hand pass, and it's getting them out of trouble. But there was a lot of it there in that passage of play, and the ball should have been cleared much quicker.
Long took out by Donald O'Cusick. Kieran Murphy in the Sarsfields club. He's fouled, and that's going to be a free for Cork. And a word of warning as well for James Murray, former St. Coleman's college star from Fermoy, and of course won several Fitzgibbons with University College Cork, so he knows a lot of these Cork players personally. This is Ben O'Connor. Again, it's a little bit short. It's there again for Cork, but this time it's the Waterford defence to come away with it. Owen Murphy finds James Murray, gives it long. Well gathered by Ronan Curran. Diarmuid O'Sullivan. The understanding between the Cork defence is admirable, to say the least. The hard-working Niall McCarthy getting it across into the centre. Tony Brown comes across to the far over wing. Back out fires Owen Murphy from the Shamrocks club, sending it straight down the middle once more. Tussle continues over at the far side. The O'Connor twins fail to gain possession. 2 against 1 here. Dan Shanahan was claiming he was fouled by Diarmuid O'Sullivan, and it's cleared by Brian Murphy. It's a far better ball. Good control as well. First touch, good hands by John Gardner. Down the field, in fires Joe Dean. There's a referee, spotted the push by Dean. That's good referee.
Yes, it's a very good referee, and even though he's out in the middle of the field there, I mean, it was good referee.
And this is nasty and unnecessary, and the referee is in the middle of Niall McCarthy and Ken McGrath, and discipline will have to be maintained, and the referee will have to enforce the law here. And I think the very minimum you can expect here is a yellow card for the Cork centre forward and the Waterford centre back. Well, surprisingly, he really should have shown a yellow card, because that is unsatisfactory. Let's see this again. Tussle went on here and then continued.
Yeah, Marty, there's nothing in it really. I mean, at the end, I know that they maybe kind of had foreheads against foreheads and stuff, you know, but I mean, it's I won't say it's a contact sport in a sense like that, but I mean, it's a man's game, and I mean, you shouldn't be flashing yellow cards or something like that.
Jerry O'Connor is back in the action. Cork supporters travelling in their thousands. So far, happy with what they've seen. Stephen Brenner's free. Well gathered by Tom Kenny. Cork build from the half-back line every single time. Trying to again find Joe Dean or Kieran Murphy. Won instead by Owen Murphy, wearing number 7 for Waterford. His effort half blocked down. Tony Brown. Backfires Murphy once more. Great pressure by Cork. Waterford win the free, but you have to say they're not allowing the Waterford defenders any space to clear the ball. Well,
that's part and parcel of hurling as well, Marty. When you don't have possession, you work as hard as ever, and don't let the defenders get the easy option of clearing the ball long way down the field. And certainly Kieran Murphy did a lot of work there, but eventually found his marker.
Fine free by Brenner. Comes down for Dan Shanahan. Well gathered by Ronan Curran in a battle with Seamus Prendergast. Lays it off. Using the hand pass quite effectively. Limerick indeed were doing it last night against Tipperary, getting players out of trouble with the hand pass. Going back here is Fergal Hartley. That's much better by the fullback from Ballygunner. John Gardner coming forward. Setting up Joe Dean with a nice ball that he loves to gather. And there's a chance here because Tom Fenney has slipped and Joe Dean sends it over the bar. Goal and 2 points for the corner forward.
And again, Marty, is the cornerback again on his feet again. He's down on the ground, is slipping again, and I don't know whether it's the studs or not, whether he's wearing the screw-in studs or he's wearing the molded studs, but certainly with the rain that was there, you would feel that 6 studs were needed today, and there's too much slipping going on around that full back line.
There's a chop down there by John Gardner. That'll be a free for Waterford. more. It's going to be Paul Phelan that's going to take this free. And well within his range. Scored a goal and 10 points in the Munster Championship last season. And of course, it's hard to believe that 13 years ago, he won a Munster Minor Championship medal way back in 1992. Sends this over the bar. That's his second point. You'd have to say, Tomas, that although Cork are the better side in this opening 23 minutes, Waterford are still in contention.
Oh, absolutely, Marty. Game of hurling, there's only 5 points in it, you know, and Waterford certainly haven't hurled as well as they have in the past, you know, and they're struggling a little bit up front, Marty, in a lot of key areas, and certainly they've made a lot of switches in their forward line to try and get them back in the game, and they're not working at this stage, you know, certainly not, and it is the dominance of that half-back line for Cork, and every time man gets possession, you see there's so much time on the ball. When they get the hand pass, they get the hand pass away, there's somebody else free, and there seems to be so much space around the field for them.
Donald Cusick. Straight down the middle. Towards Cork. Ronan Curran. Tony Brown battling with Neil Ronan. 21 on his back. Turns across over towards Kieran Murphy. That's a sweet ball. Gets inside on Murphy. Murphy from Cork sends it in. Brenner saves and deflects it out for a 65. And he missed the All-Ireland semi-final last year. Didn't play against Anthem or Kilkenny after the Munster Championship, but you can see here Stephen Brenner did well enough, if not without great conviction.
No, and there wasn't any great power in the shot either. I don't think Kieran Murphy hit this as well as he would have liked, you know. A bit of a deflection there, and it spun off the hurley. Lucky enough that it didn't go into the net.
Waterford are going to make a change in their attack. Paul O'Brien is the number 27. He comes on to the attack for Dave Bennett, who seems to have picked up an injury, seems to be limping slightly. Meanwhile, it's Ben O'Connor. Hitting it straight, comes back up the post, right in front of the post, in fact. And Waterford lucky to survive. Tom Feeney drives it down the wing. Owen Kelly now operating at right half forward, turning and sending this high and straight over the bar. Well, what can you say about Owen Kelly? He's captain, and he really has been inspiring.
Yeah, and they've moved him from midfield, Marty, over top of Sean O'Halpine, who has been the dominant player in the first half there, and certainly they're looking for his leadership qualities to curb the threat of Sean O'Halpine, stop those foraging runs forward, those hand passes that he's given out to other players around the field, and certainly on that occasion, Owen Kelly can hold it top.
And here comes Cork once more. Jerry O'Connor continues to be the power, but he fouled the ball. Referee Seamus Roach was alert.
Tapped the ball in his hand, Martin. That's what he's given the free away for, and correct decision there by the referee.
So the free going to be taken by Paul Flynn. This is going to be taken inside his own half of the field. And with a slight wind advantage, very slight. Hits it well, dropping it right in towards Donald O'Cusick. And again, Sean O'Halpine, like a good halfback, makes himself available going out towards the sideline. Pat Mulcahy sends it down along that sideline again, as far as Neil Ronan gets away from Tony Brown. The battle of the Murphys continues over at the far side. Kieran against Owen. Virgil Hartley takes control of the situation. Manages to get it across, whereas Tom Feeney now faces club hurling with Sarsfields in Cork. Over first Pat Mulcahy, out into the space again. Easily gathered by Feeney, who formerly played with Ballyduff. Was part of that Munster minor winning team in '92 with Paul Flynn. Ronan Curran didn't quite get power behind it. Here's Owen Kelly operating, as we mentioned previously, at right half forward. Hits it again, and Owen Kelly has scored his 4th point of the match.
That's an incredible performance, Marty. Every time he's got ball around the middle field, he's been straight over the bar.
puck out is quickly taken. John Gardner pumps it into the space. Ken McGrath is going back to gather it. There's nobody there from Cork except Ryan Corcoran, who arrives on the late bus. And it's Cork now that's under a little bit of pressure once more. Chance here of a point. And it's very well taken by Seamus Prendergast. It's a purple patch for the Munster champions.
And Marty, you mentioned about the Cork dominance and all the possession that they've had and the loose play that they've had in the hand passing against Thurles. There's only 2 points in the game, and that's credit to Waterford. They haven't panicked. They've soldiered away, and with the leadership qualities of Owen Kelly there, they've got themselves back in this game big time.
Time to reflect for John Allen, I must say, along the sideline, because despite that dominance, seems to have a little bit of a problem at the moment. Looks like Kieran Murphy is the player that's down injured, requiring some little bit of attention from his physio. Kieran goes back to his position at corner forward. And the puck out going to be taken by Donald O'Cusick. Dan Shanahan is at full forward. Seamus Prendergast is on the 40. Paul O'Brien is in the corner. And Waterford, those changes seem to be finally paying dividends. David O'Sullivan dropped the ball. Paul Flynn. Oh, what a goal! Yes, indeed. Paul Flynn has recovered from the knee injury, and what a cracking goal!
Well, if it's a fault to the right man, it certainly fall into Paul Flynn. And how many times would he have seen this situation, Marty, when a fellow would have bent to pick the ball? No need to win this occasion for Paul Flynn. What a shot off the ground, and it shows that game of hurling, this old ground stroke is a fantastic shot to see, and look at the power in that, and gives Donald O'Cusick no chance in the back of the net.
Waterford 1 goal and 7 points. Cork 1 goal and 6. Remember, Cork had a goal and a point scored in the opening 2 minutes. They've dominated defensively, particularly in the half-back line and midfield. Waterford have made the changes, and now the Munster champions lead the All-Ireland champions.
What a turnaround. And certainly 10 minutes ago you wouldn't have said this was going to happen, Marty, because of the dominance of the Cork people, or the Cork players. But I mean, again, their half-hour line has struggled a bit. We haven't seen Brian Cochran in the game too much, Marty. Even though we said the full forward line are causing trouble, Brian Cochran hasn't really been in the game.
John Gardner's sideline goes far as Jerry O'Connor. Twin brother Glenn was calling for it. Back outside, far as Kieran Murphy. Crossfield ball is aimed. Oh, that's great vision. There's Joe Dean. Can the finish be supplied? It's over the bar. Goal and 3 points for Joe Dean. Level for the first time after 30 minutes of action.
Yeah, so there was a great crossfield ball there. Certainly outside of Joe Dean, and as we've seen in the past, when he gets possession like that, rarely does he make a mistake.
It's the intelligent play as well of players like Tom Kenny, and previous to that, Kieran Murphy, feeding Joe Dean with the perfect ball. When you compare that with what Limerick did last night, with the type of ball they sent into Donegal Sheehan, big high-lobbing balls, it seems to be far more intelligent play by Cork this afternoon. Owen Kelly gets a warning, caution. Certainly his passion and commitment can't be faulted. And I wonder, do the binoculars help this man to see that Cork, despite dominating, are only just level?
Yes, an opportunity to go maybe one point ahead now with this free from Ben O'Connor.
Ben O'Connor dropping this one in. And Stephen Brenner is happy enough to see it go over the bar. Cork back in front. Just 1 point between the teams. Ronan Curran battling with Seamus Prendergast. Sean O'Halpine takes control of the situation. Back to his centre back. The pass was not a good one. Here's Paul Flynn again, turning left this time and sending it to the right and wide. It's Waterford's fifth wide of the match so far. Well, that has to be put down as a for a man of his class, an opportunity.
Oh yeah, the man, or the standard that he set for himself, certainly it was. I mean, it was a bad miss. But I mean, again, the hand pass, when we see the work from Cork, it works very, very well. But when it goes astray, Marty, it can look terrible indeed. And they've nearly conceded 2 or 3 points in the first half because of sloppy play and giving away possession.
Has to be said as well, Tomas, that I get the sense that Waterford's half backline are beginning to dominate. Ken McGrath is a little bit more visible, more effective at centre half back, and Paul Flynn, his other colleague and doubtful starter before the game, is going to take this free. Just a few metres outside their 65. This to level the match for the second time, but he's a long way out. This one dropping in. Stephen O'Sullivan goes up. It's there for Waterford. Dan Shanahan has scored the goal. And yes, Dan the man has reproduced the form of 2004. Living on the edge of the square with the rock from Clyde. Latches onto this ball. Here he comes. Pulls first time. Wonderful strike.
Great strike again, Marty. Can't beat the ground shot, and the minute it hits the ground, there's a pull and it's in the back of the net. I mean, great score by Dan, and so many times we've seen this in the past, and again today he's repeated that.
Game certainly swinging from one end to the other now. This is Kieran Murphy. Out on the far sideline, sends this straight over the bar for his first point in this Munster Championship semi-final. His second championship season, will be 22 later this year. Now just 1 point between the teams again. So far, the most entertaining and tense match, producing some fine hurling. This is Pat Mulcahy. Had a spell at centre half forward in the league and did very well. Mulcahy and Seamus Prendergast, by the way, are exchanging blows off camera at the moment as we continue on with the play, and indeed they're still at it as the ball drops in, and that is sent over the bar. Great point. Owen Kelly gets his 5th point of the match. And while all that was going on, this was going on between Seamus Prendergast and Pat Mulcahy, and it didn't actually stop. And referee, to his credit, must have spotted it.
He spotted it, Marty, but in fairness to the referee, credit, they get the 2 yellow cards and deserved it as well. But he let play go on. I mean, it resulted in a fine for Waterford, and then he's gone back to the 2 players and given them the yellow card.
And it's good refereeing by
good
the
referee, yeah, absolutely.
Look at this was going on while the game continued on. And it went on and on and on, and they wouldn't stop.
But a key thing there, Marty, the referee had spotted it and went back and did the necessary result of giving them a yellow card.
So plaudits to Seamus Roach. Doing a good job. This comes as far as Tony Brown puts all that muscle behind it and slashes it over the bar. You knew he meant it because...
Absolutely, and I mean, give credit to Waterford. They've come back into this game absolutely fantastically well, and their half-back they know has become the dominant factor as well. Tony Brown, a great point from that distance, must have been 70, 80 yards out.
Hurler of the year in 1998. But you could see him getting every muscle in his body behind that to just get it over Donald Oak's glass spot. Dropping ball again between Ben O'Connor and James Murray. Helping out his defence this time is Owen Kelly. What a captain. He really has been fantastic in this opening half of this Munster semi-final. Pat Mulcahy, again to Sean O'Gallagher, survives the challenge from Owen McGrath. Under a little bit of pressure still. Manages to hit it with his left. Over first Ken McGrath. And as I said, far more visible now. Sending it back down into the Cork half of the field. It's the younger McGrath that comes onto it. Dermot O'Sullivan thought about the pull. Lovely bit of vision by Dan Shanahan. And the coming across there was by John Gardner. Back to Gardner once more. Hits it on his left. Down this side. Breaking ball. Vital here. And it's picked up by Joe Dean, who comes out to the half-forward line to gather. Given a little bit of space. Eyes the target. Shoots. And sends that to the right and wide. For Cork's only 2nd wide of the opening half.
Yes, and I mean, Martin, we said about the Waterford full-back being at maybe 6 and 7, right? I mean, I think the Cork full-back line are struggling as well, Marty, and only for the interception of John Gardner there, they were in for another goal at that stage.
Well, we've had a marvellous opening half. after last year's Munster final, many people thought it wasn't possible to reproduce the standard, but you'd have to say that Cork and Waterford have indeed reproduced it. A scintillating opening half. Joe Dean after 1 minute had a goal, then Paul Flynn in the 29th minute, Dan Shanahan in the 33rd minute added goals for Waterford, and certainly we've had a most enjoyable opening 37 minutes of action. Certainly Justin McCarthy and John Allen will have plenty to say to their players as they go into the dressing room.
There's no doubt about it, Marty, I'm sure. I mean, they'll be disappointed. The start that they got, the tonic they got against the wind, and I mean, they looked at for long periods that they were maybe going to run away with this match. But give credit to Waterford, they made the changes in that period.
Well, there's a half-time score. Waterford 2-9, Cork 1-9. Plenty to discuss. So let's go down now to the sideline, to our sideline reporter this afternoon, Tony O'Donoghue.
This is why I love the game of hurling. I'm joined by Shamie Hannon. It looked like Cork had such a wonderful start and they were dominating the game. You finished the half like lions.
Yeah, we were up for this match, Tony, big time. Like, we know, we were a bit sorry for Fergal there. He made a great ball, lost it, but I think the lads are digging deep for him now and they're making up for it. I think we had a good game of hurling and I think we deserve our goal win.
The half-back men for Cork were dominating. You tried a number of changes there. They eventually worked for you.
Yeah, eventually we got it right, and I think like they're laying the foundation to their teamwork from the half-back line. As I said, they're supplying the ball into Dean, who's coming out onto it and scoring. But I think like in the second half, the play might be more open against the wind, and it might suit us a little bit better.
Ken McGrath and indeed Paul Flynn were injury doubts coming into this game. They've both proven themselves so far.
Yeah, Ken is flying it, but Paul is suffering a little bit, like he's not fully fit, but still if he gets a chance, as he showed there with the goal, he can take a chance.
He certainly did. Good luck to you. Thanks for joining us, Jamie. Back to you, Michael.
Thanks, Tony. I would never stick the pace of all this Munster Championship hurling. We need a rest from it all. We're going to take a commercial break from it all right now anyway, but we're back after that to hear the views of Gerald Nan and Cyril Farrell. Enjoying what he's seeing so far. Yes, you're welcome back indeed to Semple Stadium at half-time in Thurles. It's Waterford leading Cork by 2 goals and 9 points to 1 goal and 9 points. Gerald Nan, Cyril Farrell here with me. Cyril, it mightn't have been the pulsating match that last year's Munster final was, but it's a cracking game of hurling. What a turnaround by Waterford.
Fantastic game of hurling. Cork started off, Michael, was going to blow them out the gate. Got a lucky goal early on. Fergal Hartley got caught, depossessed. Joe Dean, no better man to stick it. And Cork had so much possession they started maybe too much sharp passing and slow the ball going on into the forwards. And eventually the Waterford half-forward backline came completely on top. And Owen Kelly has got 5 points from play and he's playing a fantastic performance. Waterford came back from the dead and now they lead by a goal. In the dressing room at half-time, Cork could, like John Elby saying, lads, listen, cut out the overpassing, get it more direct up. They're only 3 points down, but Waterford will be very happy because like they came back from the dead.
Well, I suppose the way they started off, Gerald Nan, the first 10 minutes, they were entitled, I suppose, in a way to get into a bit of showboating because they were dominating the game, and the Joe Dean goal obviously had started off right.
And obviously they targeted the Waterford full back line right from the start, you know, because everybody knew that was their weak area. Fergal Hartley in there after being out of the game for 2 years. So any manager will say, get that ball into the full forward line as fast as possible. First ball that comes in, Fergal Hartley reaches up, he seems to have it under control, it's knocked out of his hand, and there's Joe Dean. You give Joe Dean a ball 5 yards out, and there's going to be one result, and that's into the back of the net. But you know, here we have again Fergal. Now Fergal stayed down well after that to give him his due, and has done very well. But I think Joe Dean is the real danger man for Cork today. Everything seems to be directed towards him. Tom Feeney's having a very hard game on him. Now, everybody singing out Fergal Hartley for there, but Fergal Hartley is on Brian Corcoran, and we haven't even heard Brian Corcoran's name. Yes. We haven't even seen him on the ball. I don't think he has touched the ball in the first 35 minutes. Yeah. And it's ironic that at the other side of the field, John Phelan, whom all the talk was about after missing last year, John hasn't touched the ball either. No. Isn't it strange how Munster Championship games go? Yeah, but it's a terrific game. Yeah,
well, there's no doubt. I mean,
the two half-back lines now are dominating. Yeah. That's the whole thing. And what we must remember at the same time, the Cork were playing against the wind in the first half. That is a big factor. I know Waterford faced the wind last year and won the game against the wind, but unless more of that forwards come into the play, Owen Kelly has got 5 points. He's not going to get another 5 points for play. They have to get a better return from the rest of their forwards in order to win this game.
Well, they did need those goals that they got, Cyril, because as Ger said, you know, they were playing with that fresh breeze behind them in that first half, and they wouldn't want to go in and behind. But the 2 goals they got, I mean, in fairness, it put the cream like on their performance because they stepped up to the mark.
Yeah, they did, and like the chance playing Paul Flynn now, and as one of the selectors said there, Hannah said that like maybe he's not fully fit, but this guy still is a fantastic hurler. Here, long ball going to come in from here, a little hand pass in here now, goes in around the edge of the square. Now Jim Sullivan comes out onto this, and it should have been his ball. It's a mistake by Jim really, but look at this quick volley off the ground. Now most forwards going to pick it up. No way could Sean Oak stop that, or Donald stop that. It was really rocket. Does the right thing, gets it on the volley just off the ground, and unstoppable. Like Flynn is capable of that. Jim will be very unhappy with his first half because he's been very jittery all through. Look at that. Rocket. If it hits him, it'll put him into the back of the net.
Straight through his forward if he stood in the way.
Again, this one comes in around the edge of the square. Up again, full back, Dan and Jim. So it's just fixed on the ground. The minute it hits the ground, Dan Shannon, who's been out of the game really, gets by and sticks in the back net. But Sullivan won't be happy with that. Hits the ground here and bangs in the back net. It puts Waterford in the driving seat at half time. Okay, they are against the breeze, but they'll be quite happy. Cork will have to work hard in the half forward because they've gone out of the game the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. And you see when Dan Shannon went in there full forward last year the same way, because the very same havoc against Clare and against Cork. He has the height, you know, and the full backs hate a player who has the height, who will put up his hand, either catch the ball, break it down. Now he broke that one down and scored it. But even when he was out centre forward, Sir, remember, you were marking there, he was drifting in. He's always drifting in towards that full back line. And he's really, really dangerous at the edge of the square. And it's good to see him back to his full form again, because he had bad form during the league.
Well, I suppose an opposition will always hate to see the opposing captain leading with such inspiration as Owen Kelly did. What scores he?
Yeah, right from the start. Like, I mean, he has taken time off in concentration and hurling. He has shown terrific leadership this year for a fellow only 22 or 23. And he has got so many points in this game, every one of them. You know, some of them from far out, some of them after solo run. Just one low cup here. Now watch this. He's almost on the sideline when he strikes this ball. And under real pressure from Jerry O'Connor, and puts it over the bar. That is a terrific point. It shows a player on top of his game. It shows a player who has real confidence. And it also shows something that often Waterford really lack, a player with real leadership. Having a go from the middle of the field, ball straight over the bar. The big question is, against the wind, the ball will be holding up that little bit longer, that more forwards will have to go in. They won't get as many scores from as far out in the second half as they got in the first half. But they're right back in the game. They were 4 points down. We thought the game was over. Now they're a goal up. That's Waterford for you. That's the way they can go.
I said jocosely before the match, Thurles, we might have another draw here and another replay.
Yeah, well, like, you know, I still don't
wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, but there'll be a lot of scores here because like both sets of forwards are go out the game, but they're still very dangerous. Like you have the likes of Big Dan, Paul Flynn up front for you know, and John Mullane hasn't hit a ball yet. Now he's due to enter,
but he will.
And there will be more space second half because the breeze is against him. Cork half forward and over the game. They started off okay, but all of a sudden, Ben O'Connor, Niall McCarthy's gone out of it. Neil Rowan hasn't been in it at all. He'd be lucky if he's left on. They need to deliver that ball, and they've over elaboration on the pass in the half back in midfield, and it's slowed in going into the full forward line. And as Gerard's referred to already, like Brian Cochran hasn't touched the ball. Hartley has really settled down. Waterford will be very happy at half time. Cork will feel they have a winner, but we're going to be in for one heck of a second half.
Well, I can tell you, gentlemen, 43,167 people are here in Semple Stadium enjoying all of this, and I'm sure looking forward to the second half. We take a break back after a few minutes with that second half. Anyway, with the teams, just a quick look, as I said a moment ago, at the scoring stats. They're dominated really by Joe Dean, by Owen Kelly, and of course by Paul Flynn as well. But overall, it means that Waterford are winning 2-9 against Cork's 1-9. Certainly all to play for in the second half. Sir, by the way, I've just heard that Neil Rowan has gone off the Cork team, so what kind of shake-up is that going to suggest to us?
I'd say probably the other Kieran Murphy will probably come on. You know, Neil Rowan. Actually, Cyril said to me after Tony Brown scoring the point, because Tony Brown was marking him.
That's right.
That'll be the end of Neil Ronan, you know, because he was giving too much space, and the Waterford half-back line have come really into the game. Ken McGrath settled down. Tony Brown played really, really well. I think they need somebody there who can win the ball in the air, win possession, and get it through. And they'll be hoping to Kieran Murphy, very strong player, very good under-21 player. A player who's very close to the Cork team. I think he has a better chance of winning that ball and getting the better Tony Brown than Neil Ronan has.
Well, we assume that he's in. We just haven't that confirmed yet, but we'll assume that you're correct now. Let's, Sir, just have a quick look at that penalty that Cork got in the first half, because this could have left the scores level. Now, they got the penalty. Dermot maybe took a point or maybe mishit the ball, but let's look at the penalty incident for a start off.
Yeah, well, like it was a penalty, because we're going to see the ball goes in along here. Joe Dean gets onto it, runs onto it well now. He's you know, he gets a half tackle here, but here he's pulled down, like, whip across the leg. In actual fact, it's looking that there's not more out of it as such. Like, you know, it had to be a penalty. They're complaining about it. He gets a fairly good tackle here, but, you know, Fergal Hartley comes across.
He was wreaking havoc also at this stage of the game.
Yeah. So Juma comes up to take this penalty. I know that Juma in his mind coming up would only have one thing. He'd be going for a goal. He'd be disappointed with that because it just hit it over too high. It's a good way to hit the ball between, say, the head high and the cross.
Yeah.
After he's just underneath it. He won't be happy with it because when he comes up, he'd only one thing in mind. Did they put Cork really in the driving seat? But by just getting the point that it could have been a Jordine goal, it wasn't such as a lesser Remus for Waterford. So it paid off for Waterford to give the foul.
Sure. Yeah.
What I can understand about Waterford, Michael, is last year Brian Phelan was one of the best players they had. He certainly saved them against Tipperary last year. He was terrific in the Munster final. He's now a sub on the team. I think with James Murray in one corner, Phelan at wing back, and Owen Murphy maybe on Jordine, they'd have a way more solid look about him. Because Tom Feeney's in dire straits against Jordine, and if they leave Tom Feeney on him, I think Jordine will wreak havoc in the second half, especially with faster ball coming in now with the wing.
Yeah. Well, Waterford are back out on the field, sir. So
yeah, but a lot of that depends on the ball that's going in. Early on it was okay, but Cork are doing so much hand passing. It's lovely. They're slowing it down, and everyone is.
And we saw that with Limerick last night as well. Limerick passing the ball around, half-backs passing the midfielders, passing it over to Phelan on the sideline, and instead of letting that fast, direct ball into the full forward line. That's what Cork want, and that's what every full forward line
wants. John Allen will be eating at half time to let the ball in fast. Okay, they go in possession, but let it in fast to full forward line, then be out in front. Too slow, everyone's on top of them.
Sure. All right, Cork are coming back for the second half. It is that change that we suggested. Kieran Murphy is coming on instead of Rowan on the Cork team. OK, let's go back and enjoy the second half. I've no doubt that we will. Go back up to the commentary box again to Tomas and to Marty.
Thanks very much, Michael. Yes, indeed. Confirmation of your thoughts there that Kieran Murphy is the player that's introduced. So with two Kieran Murphys now playing for Cork. They call him Kiro the Hero because an underage he won nearly every match on his own for Erin's Own. The game is on, second half. We'll have more about Kieran Murphy, I'm sure, before the game ends. Waterford playing against the breeze now in this second half. Back outside for Seamus Prendergast, who continues to dominate around that centre half forward position, and that is gone over the bar. That's his second point. And he's testing out last year's centre-back all-star, Ronan Curran.
Oh, it's a fantastic start. They're certainly against the breeze again, and I mean, that's not what Cork wanted in the commencement of the second half. They want to dominate it again, and certainly a great point by Seamus Prendergast.
Back outside for his own McGrath. Tussle over at the far side. Comes off Seamus Prendergast. Comes instead for his Ronan Curran. That ball seemed to fall off the fingertips of Kieran Murphy. It's going to be a sideline ball, I would think, for Waterford.
Yeah, and as predicted by Mr. Loughnane at half-time, Owen Murphy has gone over on top of Jordine. He's switched corners, and Tom Feeney has gone to left corner back now with Owen Murphy going over on top of Jordine, who's been the main threat for Cork in that first half period.
And it must be said as well that what Ger was saying at half-time to Michael and Cyril about Brian Phelan, because there's a huge amount of surprise down Waterford that Phelan hasn't made the starting 15.
Absolutely, and I mean, if they're in trouble there, he's the man to actually bring into the game.
Staying right over the far side, John Milan has discarded the helmet for the second half. Owen McGrath back outside, far as Owen Kelly. He's a man on fire.
That is incredible scoring, Marty. 6 points from play in a Munster Championship match. Absolutely fantastic. And great play again by Owen McGrath. Knew himself he wasn't going to get a score and hand passed it back and straight over the bar. Terrific striking.
Well, he started midfield, went to the right half forward, and Owen Kelly, for just 22 years of age, is having the game of his life here. Back outside fires Ken McGrath, who's now beginning to expand those shoulders of his. Dermot O'Sullivan drops the ball again. Blocked not once but twice. Here's Dan Shanahan is available if he can find him. Paul O'Brien just ran out his steam a small bit. Dan Shanahan is there, however, with John Gardner. His physique and size a vital factor. Gardner seemed to push him, but the referee says no. Cleared far as Jerry O'Connor. The sun is shining in Semple Stadium. The thunderstorm and rain now gone. And the hurlers of Cork and Waterford beginning to blossom here now in another struggle. In the 90s with Clare and Tipperary. We've always had Cork and Tipperary, but now we've Cork and Waterford. And here is Brian Corcoran bearing down on goal. And he's cracked it into the back of the net. Who said Brian Corcoran? We hardly saw him in the first half. The one ball he's received in the second half, and he's beaten Fergal Hartley, beaten Stephen Brenner.
Yes, it's a good goal again, but the Waterford full-back then will be disappointed again to let the man get inside him like that. And it's a great strike by Brian Corcoran, great finish. But again, it was a mess up out the sideline again by the full-back line again for Waterford. They left him through. But I give him credit. We didn't see much of him in the first half, but it's a great strike.
I'm pretty sure Stephen Brenner will be disappointed as well. That's going to be a sideline ball for Cork. 2 points between the teams. John Allen, native of Agabulloch, of course played with St. Finbarrs. And, his own club won the first All-Ireland for Cork way back in 1890. This is Ben O'Connor. Sweet striker of a ball, but this one is just proving a little bit too much for Joe Dean. Well, we're certainly looking forward to this second half. And the wind, I have to tell you, has increased as well. And it seems to be favouring, obviously, Cork in this half. But just at the last couple of minutes, the breeze certainly increasing. Breaking ball. Picked up. And he dropped the hurling. And that's going to be a free for Waterford. Tom Kenny taking the responsibility and the blame. And he'll be very disappointed with that. It's just a natural thing for hurlers to do.
He's trying to get away from your man. I mean, you're trying to get every advantage.
Free going to be quickly taken. Good running off the ball by Tony Brown. Has the support of Owen Kelly behind him. Doesn't touch it on his hand. Drops it in. At the end of it here is Paul Flynn. David O'Sullivan there for Cork. Whips it out over the sideline, this side of the field. And a chance to take a breather for both Waterford and Cork.
Yes, and I mean, again, you see David O'Sullivan slipping around the square there, Martius. Whatever it is, I mean, in the first half period as well, we were maybe kind of giving about Fergal Hartley not being able to stay on his feet, and David O'Sullivan started second half. Twice he's actually slipped in possession of the ball, and again there, something maybe around the square there that's very wet.
Owen Kelly going to take this sideline cut. You can see by Owen's jersey how strong that breeze is now. Sending it along the surface. Nicely picked up by Seamus Prendergast. John Gardner in pursuit of him. Good work by cornerback Brian Murphy. Down fires Kelly again. Onto his left. Didn't judge it properly. Goes to the left and wide. 6 wides for Waterford. Puck out quickly taken by Donald O'Cusick. Over to the far over wing. Switching play. This is Kieran Murphy. Aaron Zobe. Hero to hero. Down towards Brian Corcoran. Beginning to show a little bit more now for this ball, and obviously they were told at half-time to feed Corcoran a little bit more, and that's the reason why. Hardly seen in the opening 37 minutes of championship action here in Semple Stadium. 2 balls go his way in the second half, a goal and a point.
That's a fantastic score again off the left hand, and shows how versatile he is, coming in from the right hand side to go score a goal out on the left hand side, and he's playing in a central position as full forward, so great score for Brian Corcoran.
And it's important to note, Tomas, as well, that all came from Donald O'Cusick with the quick puck out over to the far over wing.
Yes, and we spoke about that, Martin, the first step, but Waterford are still being caught in that ball. I mean, as soon as a point goes wide, or a ball goes wide, or there's a point scored above, there's a quick puck out taken, and they're not actually marking their men as quickly as they should be, or they're turning their back against the ball, and I mean, it's being pucked out, and the substitution of Kieran Murphy coming on, you can see the height of the guy. Obviously with the wind, they'll be using him in the second half to put a lot of ball down on top of him and try and win possession.
Sideline ball, far side of the field, going to be taken by Sean O'Gohalpy. Puts it in nicely. Goes straight for his own McGrath, who flicked it up. Niall McCarthy. Waterford defending well. This is Seamus Prendergast. Tom Kenny is back helping out his defence. Owen Kelly has lost his hurling. But push enough pressure. Tom Kenny,
yes, I mean,
and they get a sideline ball.
They're fighting for every ball. So their lives dependent on it, Waterford.
Tony Brown. captain of the team way back in 1992. They won the Under-21 All-Ireland. That particular occasion, he was centre-half back. Now very much one of the more experienced members of this Waterford squad that are looking for that Munster Championship. Ball cleared down for us. Joe Dean, what's he doing out there in the middle of his own half-back line? Brian Corcoran battling with Fergal Hartley. Hartley wins this particular tussle. Has to play it along the sideline. Goes off Sean Ogo-Halpine. Sideline ball for Waterford. Line ball again, got to be taken by Tony Brown. And of course, only just 3 years ago, Mount Sion won the Munster Club title, and this man was very much part of it. Oh, lovely cut by Tony Brown. Ronan Curran didn't quite connect. There's a very bad pull by Paul Flynn here. And the Cork players didn't like it, and Seamus Roach is going to have a word with the Waterford corner forward. And there was an immediate reaction.
I think he's going to get a yellow card, for that.
And I think deservedly so.
I mean, Marty, I know it looks bad and camera and stuff, but I mean, there was a flick gone in there. I mean, he tried to put on the ball. I mean, possession was there, and I think it was Brian Murphy tried to flick the ball away. I mean, I don't think there was any intent there from
no, I don't think
this
so
stage,
either.
you know,
but it looked certainly dangerous on first impressions. It's Brian Murphy that's getting some attention, cornerback. Certainly in his league form, very much worthy of his place. Just 23 this year. Free going to be taken by Dermot O'Sullivan. Well, what? Niall McCarthy hits this over the crossbar. Second point for the centre-half forward. Scored a goal in 14 in last year's championship. He's got 2 already in this season's. Level for the second time after 10 minutes of play in the second half. Puck out by Stephen Brenner. Referee again spotting the challenge. That was an illegal one. Giving the free to Waterford. Yellow card as well for Kieran Murphy. Owen Kelly taking the free. The breeze just catching it. He's going off target anyway, but just seemed to
I mean, there is a very strong breeze there, Martin. You could see the ball tailing off there. I mean, it was holding up into the wind, and like very noticeable, the last point there now in McCarthy it was as a result of a direct hit down the field by using the elements, using the wind, and the same Donald Cusack put pressure on the half-back line by knocking balls straight down the field.
Owen Murphy. Nice connection by Ken McGrath. Comes back outside for his own Kelly once more. Front of the post. Dropping this one in. Donald Cusack. Relieves the pressure. It gives possession away to Waterford. Sideline ball. Just here in front of the stand. This side of the field. James Murray. Played centre half back for most of the league campaign, but back now more or less operating at left half back. Waterford continue to put the pressure on here. Good work by Brian Murphy. Seemed to get a push in the back. Referee concurs. That's a free out for Cork. Coming across to take it is Dermot O'Sullivan. Sends it down past Kieran Murphy. Flicked away. Comes for his own Kelly. Good calling by Owen McGrath. Referee is going to give a throw ball here. 8 for Cork is Tom Kenny. 12 is Owen McGrath. Kieran Murphy is the 24. Seamus Prendergast is the man with the sliotar. Looking around, seeing if anybody's available. Sends it up for his big Dan. Dan, the man on the left. It's going to be a little bit short this time for his Donald Cusick. Looking around at various options. Opts for the long ball, down the middle. Aiming at Brian Corcoran. Knocked away from him. James Murray is the number 4. Under a little bit of pressure from Ben O'Connor. Bursting his way out. Good defending by the cornerback. Lays it off for his own McGrath, who's operating at left half forward but playing a deep defensive role. Into the Cork half of the field. Aiming at Dan Shanahan. Gone back to help out his cornerback. His centre half, Ronan Curran. Didn't quite connect at all, Ronan. Don't know what his intention was there, but it works out all right for Cork. Niall McCarthy, oh, that's a great ball. Good vision. Across field for Jerry O'Connor in space. As a result of Niall McCarthy's pass, Cork have a chance here of a score. Ben O'Connor, Jerry O'Connor sends it to the right and wide after all of that. And it all started with the vision of McCarthy, the centre half forward. Niall sending it across, but oh dear.
You know, it's lovely to watch, but I mean, you saw Owen Kelly in the first half there from the middle of the field. Every time he got possession, he was able to put over the bar. Small bit of over-elaboration there. I mean, either player had the opportunity to strike the ball much earlier and put it over the bar.
John Gardner got the hurling to it, but it's the Waterford man that has possession. Paul O'Brien under severe pressure. Lays it back for his James Murray. Half blocked by John Gardner. Comes instead for his Jerry O'Connor. Back to Gardner once more. Sending it long, up for his Brian Corcoran. Fergal Hartley stays goal side. Nice pick up by Corcoran. Onto his left. Great block down by Fergal Hartley. Corkman available inside is Joe Dean as Waterford try to deal with Brian Corcoran. Fergal Hartley is there. Waterford under pressure. Tom Feeney bursting out, trying to relieve the pressure for his county. Did very well. Uses the short grip, sends it over to the far side. Sean O'Halpine took his eye off it. And it's Michael the Brick Walsh. He's had a quiet afternoon by his standards. Great footballer with Stradbally and hurler. Here's John Milan trying to get inside Brian Murphy. Milan, who also has a quiet afternoon so far. There's Seamus Prendergast. Milan has picked up the hurley once more. The referee spotted the foul, and he's giving a free to Waterford just inside the Cork 45. Well, Waterford supporters looking on anxiously. 50 minutes played, 20 to go, sides level. Some statistical information for you in terms of scores from frees. 3 out of 10 for Cork, 2 out of 12 for Waterford. Justin McCarthy, in his 4th year, looking on at one of his stars, Paul Flynn, who scored a goal and 2 points so far. Crucial free for Waterford. Sends it over the bar. Waterford back in front. Puck up by Donald Cusick is aimed at Ben O'Connor. Comes from his twin brother Jerry. Sends it in low. Good anticipation by Tony Brown. Didn't quite gather it the first time. Comes over for his Tom Feeney. Has to go through 3 Cork hurlers to get a clearance. And Waterford have possession here. Sending it up the wing. Gathered cleanly by John Gardner. Uses Ben O'Connor. Paul O'Brien unable to get the hook in, and O'Connor hit it well. And hit it straight over the bar. It's his 2nd point of the afternoon here in Thurles. And Cork and Waterford level for the 3rd time after 17 minutes played in the 2nd half. Puck out is aimed at Seamus Prendergast, who did very well. Lays it off to the man who scored 6 points so far, Owen Kelly. 3 Cork players converging him. Tries to get it in for his Dan Shanahan, and that's just gone wide. 8 wides for Waterford.
But suppose a big feature there, Marty, is Seamus Prendergast as centre forward. We haven't seen the dominance of Ronan Curran as we've seen in the past, particularly on the high ball and particularly on the puck-outs. He hasn't been able to go up there with the hand and win possession and maybe feed it off. He's been under pressure from Seamus Prendergast.
And here's Ken McGrath continuing to dominate down the middle. Going to run into a bit of trouble here because Cork have managed to deprive him of possession. Seamus Prendergast, a high challenge. It was not shoulder to shoulder, and it certainly will merit a caution, if not perhaps a yellow card. And Seamus Prendergast acknowledged immediately that he had collided incorrectly.
Yeah, it wasn't shoulder to shoulder. He got him into the chest, and I'm sure Jerry will recover from that.
Let's just see this again. Now remember here's Seamus Prendergast. Challenge on Jerry O'Connor, and he's on a yellow card.
He's on a yellow card, exactly, yeah, you know, and when you look at it there again, it is a bit of a high challenge, you know. Certainly, I mean, it isn't shoulder to shoulder, Marty, and it's straight frontal charge.
Seamus Roach is quite concerned, the referee, about Jerry O'Connor, as the Cork supporters enjoy a little bit of sunshine. A little bit cool, I'm afraid, for May, but certainly this particular arena has added to the heat and the tension.
And the tension, I think they're looking for a replacement, I think, for Jerry as well, maybe, or just to...
Well, you can see that obviously his chin has got the brunt of that particular challenge, and medical staff here are bringing on a stretcher, and we're always sad to see this happening, and particularly to a player of Jerry O'Connor's stature. Wonderful hurler, very great sportsman, and that's going to require, I'm pretty sure, a few stitches. But there's no stretcher required for Jerry because he's going to go straight into the dressing room.
Yeah, I think he'll be stitched, Marty, and we'll be seeing the blood substitute coming on.
And Dr. Con Murphy will be busy momentarily as Graham Calnan is introduced momentarily, at least, for Jerry O'Connor. This is number 19, the blood substitute, Glen Rovers club. Played most of the league at half-back. Dropping ball. Kieran Murphy. Not quite connected. Owen McGrath had it. Comes over for his right half-back, Tony Brown. Waterford exactly convincing in terms of their efforts to clear here. And it results in a 65 for Cork. And when Cork are able to get that ball into that full back line, that weakness is still there.
That is the secret, though, Marty. I mean, and we've seen instances of play when it's been short passing around the middle of the field in the half hour as well. When you had a full forward line that was very, very on top, pretty much on top, and particularly, I mean, Brian Cochran coming into the game in the second half there as well. But we've seen very little of Joe Dean in possession in the second half, and he was completely dominant in the first half period as well. Playing with a Gaelic range, you play to the elements, play to your strength, get the ball down the field and get it around the square as quickly as possible, because that's where all the trouble is going to be.
Here's Ben O'Connor. Dropping this over the crossbar. Third point of the match for the Newtown Chandrum Star. Stephen Brenner takes the puck out. Drops it over this side. Pat O'Connor, the linesman from Limerick, claims that it went off a Cork bat.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, Marty. I think he's got the call wrong there. I would give it, I think it was a Cork ball. If we could see it again, I think it came off James Murray's hand.
Let's just see this again. Seemed to go off Seamus Prendergast.
Yeah,
I think you're right, Tomas. Owen Kelly aiming at John Milan. Tries to get away from John Gardner. Good run by Milan. High challenge by Graham Calnan. And the referee is going to have a word with the blood substitutes. And the referee immediately reacted. Made his debut last year against Anthem. As many people down in Cork tell me he's unlucky not to be
I suppose a yellow card there, and certainly was a high challenge, and He's been unlucky not to be on the team, but I suppose it's very hard to break into a half-back line. His dominant place is in the half-back line where you've Sean Hogan, you have John Garner in the team, you know, you're going to be very hard. But very interesting again, John Milan is trying his best to try and get into this match. Every time he's getting possession, he's trying to take on his marker and not being able to get away from him as quickly as he has in the past.
This free going to be taken by Paul Flynn. And he sends it wide. I don't think Paul Flynn can even believe it. Certainly nobody in Waterford can believe it. The puck out, quickly taken again, aimed at Ben O'Connor. It could well turn out to be a crucial miss. John Milan is chasing, operating as a half-back at the moment. Kieran Murphy not quite connecting. Runs along, fires Brian Corcoran, hits it with his left and sends it over the bar. Now there's a most interesting sequence of play. Paul Flynn misses a free. Donald Cusick takes a quick puck out, goes to Brian Corcoran, point Cork. Absolutely,
and I mean we just spoke about that, Marty, about getting the ball down the field as quickly as possible, get into the men that are actually on top of the game. And certainly the second half period, every time ball has gone in, Brian Corcoran has been down it. Now it's Jerry O'Connor is coming back on the field. The blood substitute is coming back on the field again. He's wearing number 31.
And coming off the field is Graham Callan.
Yes.
Stephen Brenner about to take the puck out.
You see Kieran Murphy, Conor Power getting an extra job as well, taking the dog off the field.
I hope it's not the same dog we have in Cork Park for the international rules.
Well, Holly was, Kieran Murphy was short, was for the dog to bite there, you know.
Puck out by Stephen Brenner now. Batting it down once more is Owen Kelly. Jerry O'Connor wearing 31 instead of number 9. Sideline ball for Cork. 2 points between the teams. Just about 10.5 minutes left in this match. That's not including injury time, and there will be at the discretion of the referee. Waterford once more. Tom Feeney sending it down the wing. Ronan Kern battling with Seamus Prendergast. Kern wins that particular exchange. There's Ben O'Connor. With him is James Murray. Nice scale by O'Connor. Feeds it in first Brian Corcoran, who wasn't quite expecting it. I think he was trying to create the space for Ben. Fergal Hartley, James Murray. They're all there trying to defend. Ben O'Connor again goes off the Cork man. Going to be a line ball for Waterford. Sideline ball going to be taken by James Murray from Tallow, County Waterford. Skids by Ben O'Connor. Seamus Prendergast. And I think Seamus Prendergast is fortunate to get a free there.
Marty, it's a harsh decision to give a free against Ronan Curran there on that occasion.
Ken McGrath with the free. John Milan was calling for it over the far side, and it's a good ball from Milan. John Gardner with him, goes off the Waterford man according to the linesman. It's Damien Richardson from Limerick over at the far side. Let's just see this again.
I think he came off his knee, Marty, and things are not going right for John today. He's done first touches left him down on numbers of occasions. He was in front of his marker there, should have gathered possession, but unfortunately it's not going well for him.
Sean O'Halpine. Fine sideline cuts. Owen Murphy. A bit of a jersey pull according to the referee. Joe Dean says he didn't do it. It's going to be a free for Waterford just outside their own 45. Again, it's Ken McGrath. Comes straight fires Jerry O'Connor. Back there helping out his defence. Lays it off neatly, fires Niall McCarthy. Turns onto his left. That's a great point. Fabulous point by Niall McCarthy.
Again, it's a great score, Marty, but I mean, the Water defence are all over the place again. I mean, that was a very long hand pass by Jerry O'Connor to find a man all on his own.
Well, Ken McGrath had taken the free, but I think he started the ball watch and didn't go over for Niall McCarthy. Here's Owen Kelly. What a captain he's proven to be. Back outside for Seamus Prendergast. 3-4 Waterford players available. This is Michael Walsh sending it in towards Paul Flynn. Diarmuid Sullivan is there with Dan Shanahan. Diarmuid sends it across for Donald Cusick. Confident play again between goalkeeper and full back. Shanahan unable to hook the goalkeeper. Gets it down for Niall McCarthy. Great catch again. Can he do it once more? The umpires say yes he can. 4 points from the centre half forward. It was Owen Kelly's performance in the first half. It's Niall McCarthy's in the second, and it's turning the game towards Leaside.
And you just wonder, I mean, Ken McGrath has been out of the game for a long, long time with his injury. I mean, he's had a very good game himself, but I mean, is he tiring at this stage? And is Niall McCarthy getting the upper hand there, Marty, and getting those vital scores for Cork?
Ronan Kern is protesting to the referee, and I think for the second time, I feel myself on initial looking at it that Ronan has been punished for something he didn't do.
Absolutely unfairly again. Yellow card not wanted there.
I think the yellow card is for more dissent than anything else. But certainly I don't think he was fouling his direct opponent. The last time Paul Flynn took a free, he missed it, and it seemed to give the initiative to Cork. This is far more difficult, and he sends it over the bar. Score of a goal and 4 points today here in Thurles. 3 points between the teams. 64 minutes played in this Munster Championship semi-final. The battle of the champions. At the moment, the initiative is clearly with the All-Ireland champions. Here comes Owen Kelly once more. Sending this one in, and the umpire says that it is a 65 for Waterford. But you have to admire the passion and the play of Owen Kelly. First 65 for Waterford today. Waterford are introducing Brian Phelan. Ken McGrath is being moved, I think, up to the midfield area.
Yeah, I mean, it was very obvious there that Niall McCarthy had become the dominant figure there, the number 11 shirt, and certainly a move now to put him up. Just over 5 minutes remaining, at this stage they need a few scores on the board, and when Owen Kelly hasn't been scoring, there's been very little return coming from the rest of the attack.
Dan Shanahan goes off as this ball is dropped in. Is there a connection? Donald Cusick is the man that has it. Good goalkeeping. Tom Feeney has to backtrack here. An effort to gather. Left it behind him. Under pressure from Kieran Murphy. Ryan Corcoran with Owen McGrath. Feeney continued to battle. Gives it back for Fergal Hartley. Changes the direction of the play over to the far side. And again, good work by Kieran Murphy. Got there ahead of Michael Walsh. Murphy drives it in. Coming across here is Fergal Hartley. Waterford need to get the slither up to the other end of the field. Breaking ball between Michael Walsh. Linesman has his flag raised. And it's unsure, certainly, initially what his signal was.
I think he's unsure himself, Marty, what decision he's going to give.
Having a word with the referee.
It's a Cork ball, yes.
It's a Cork ball. Just about 4 minutes left now in actual playing time. Waterford have only just managed 2 points from play in the second half and 2 from frees. Not a good return, but remember they are playing against the breeze here. Down for John Milan, who continues to try and get involved. Skips away from John Gardner. Get inside another player. Drops it across over this side. Paul Walsh, can he get a room to swing? There's 1, 2, 3, 5 Cork defenders around him and little or no support. There is no way through this Cork defence. Whipping it along the ground. Ben O'Connor can't quite reach it. Paul Flynn is there. Survives one challenge, but he's gone out over the sideline, and that's going to be a sideline ball to Cork.
Good defensive play there, Marty, by Cork when the man was bearing down a goal, but there was so many numbers back there in red shirts. I mean, there was no support from Waterford, and you were saying John Milan going through and last year and the year before, he was heading straight for goal and never hand passing the ball or using an extra man. He was always going for the shot himself, and maybe he's just lacking that bit of confidence himself today.
Three added minutes in this Munster Championship semi-final. Still time for Waterford, but they need to relieve the pressure here far more efficiently and effectively. And again, a sideline ball conceded. Certainly Waterford have lost their shape up front.
Yeah.
There's little or no penetration.
No penetration up front, and the game, I suppose, hasn't lived up to the standard we'd had in the first half, Marty. I mean, it's a bit scrappy now at this stage, and I'm sure if you're from Cork, you won't care about this when you're a couple of points ahead, and certainly Waterford need more penetration up in their forward line.
Once again, it's Ben O'Connor. It's a nice bit of distance into it. Lofts it in towards Brian Corcoran. Waterford relieve the pressure once more. Taken out of his grasp by Kieran Murphy. Sent in, but sent to the left and wide. That's Cork's 5th wide of this Munster Championship semi-final. 2 minutes left in actual playing time, 3 minutes to be added on. 5 minutes left in total for this Munster semi-final.
Is there a goal in Waterford, Marty?
Big question at the moment. Indications are that they don't have that potential, but you just never know if Waterford can find their rhythm. Comes as far as Ronan Curran, sent straight down to Paul Flynn, who's playing almost as a half-back, which is probably not the right option at the moment. You need him up around the house.
Well, if you need a man to get a goal, you need Paul Flynn up there, certainly.
Seamus Prendergast battling, trying to get it back to Ken McGrath. Cork defending admirably here. This is Jerry O'Connor, once again, working very hard. Corkman is flattened by Tom Feeney. And for some descent for a Waterford player, there's an extra 13 metres.
Yeah, it was against Paul Flynn, Marty, because he actually poked the ball out into the stand, into the crowd, not agreeing with the referee's decision.
Well, there was no doubt about illegality of the challenge here. Two clubmates, actually.
It's clumsy, you know. Kieran Murphy's a small man, but look, he's almost on top of his shoulders. You know, to give him a piggyback.
And they play club hurling together, actually. Tom Feeney and Kieran Murphy. Beating the bar on as Cork continue on the journey, as it looks like now, to a Munster Championship final.
Yeah, that seems to be the insurance bite, Marty, to go 4 points up with only very little time left.
Quick puck out this time by Stephen Brenner. There's Owen McGrath laying it off. Brian Phelan dropping this one in, but Cork have so many players behind the ball. Diarmaid O'Sullivan tries to lay it off as Pat Mulcahy doesn't bother catching it into his hand, just lifts and strikes beautifully. Tom Feeney, Joe Dean lends assistance to his half-forward line, wants the return from Ben O'Connor. There's nobody but nobody in around Stephen Brenner's goal at the moment. Kieran Murphy, fabulous block down by Owen McGrath. Comes for Seamus Prendergast. McGrath is going for the return. Prendergast tries to get it in quickly. In for John Milan. Picked up instead by John Gardner. Powerful into the challenge. Doesn't quite connect, and it's Waterford now have the initiative once more. Challenge of Michael Walsh is high and unnecessary by Tom Kenny, and that's going to be a free to Waterford.
Yeah, and instead of the ball being 60 yards down the field off John Gardner's left-hand side there, he opts with a short pass and is intercepted and puts themselves into a bit of trouble. And the referee is bringing the ball forward is dead right on the basis he did it at the opposite end there shortly, and he wants the ball move forward again.
So the free going to be taken as Donald O'Cusick faces Paul Flynn. 4 points between the teams. Waterford go forward in numbers. Flynn hits it over the bar. Goal and 5 points for him, and it reduces Cork's lead to 3 points. Is that enough for the Leesiders? Is it enough for John Allen? We're into injury time. Waterford have to gain possession here, and they have to get a goal. Nothing else will do. Comes down for his own Murphy. Easy ball for Tom Kenny. To his captain, Sean O'Halpine. Cork lash it down the field, sending that with power, but not matched by accuracy. Stephen Brenner wanted to take it quickly, looking to see if there's anybody at all available. Has to drive it down the middle. Easily touched on by Pat Mulcahy. Kieran Murphy loses possession. Picked up by Michael Walsh. Brought to ground. Another free for Waterford. About 16 seconds left in this Munster Championship semi-final.
In around the house, Marty.
Everybody forward. Is there a goal in Waterford? John Allen paces the sideline, anxious, beside his direct managerial opponent, Justin McCarthy. Paul Flynn. Cork are going to introduce another change before that free is taken. Jonathan O'Callaghan. As this ball drops in, right in under Donald Oak's crossbar, and the ball is gone over the bar. Dermot O'Sullivan is in the net, following that dropping ball that seemed to just barely scrape over Donald Oak's crossbar. And Seamus Roach is now going to have a word with his umpires and saying, you know, what exactly happened here. He needs consultation with his two men down there. Peter Moore and Ger Hennebree, both from Kilsheelan. And he's checking with Dermot O'Sullivan. Let's just have a look at this again. Ball dropping in. Here comes Ken McGrath. There's a push. They seem to collide with Ronan Curran.
Seemed to be more of a push than anything else, Mark. I mean, it was Ken McGrath trying to follow the ball into the net. I mean, it was very, very close between the crossbar and just over Donald Oak's head. And
well, it's all over. This Munster Championship semi-final. The All-Ireland champions, who really, really want to win the Munster and indeed All-Ireland this year, but they wanted to make amends for last year's final defeat. They found it a heartbreaking moment. This time, the roles have been reversed. Waterford suffer a Munster semi-final defeat. A game that certainly lived up to its expectations in the first half, but the second half was a bit disappointing.
It was disappointing in the second half, but I suppose if you're from Cork, you won't be complaining here, right? I mean, we got to remember as well, Marty, it's the first match in the championship for both teams as well. They didn't have long league campaigns themselves, you know, so maybe they're just shaking off the cobwebs, and we'll see greater things from both of these teams later on the championship. And certainly Cork will be happy with their performance, I suppose, on the basis they're winning the match. Dominated for maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes of the first half period, went out of the game and started slowly in the second half, but then the goal from Brian Corcoran really changed it from in the second half period.
Well, it certainly set Cork on their journey, and he had such a quiet first half, and we were all mentioning Brian Corcoran, and then at the start of the second half, after 3 minutes, had the ball in the Waterford net, and it set Cork on their way to the Munster hurling final of 2005 on the 26th of June. Many people feel that it's a Cork-Kilkenny battle, but you feel as well, when you see what Limerick and Tipperary and Waterford are doing, it's a two-horse race.
And you've got to look at, we saw Ken McGrath tired there towards the end of the match, Marty, and then McCarthy coming into the game, but like they've been absent from the game for the last couple of weeks themselves, and Paul Flynn, and haven't been active, right? So I mean, they have a lot to build on. Maybe if the match had been 2 weeks later, these guys would have been hurling much stronger. But I mean, you must remember the performance of Owen Kelly in midfield.
Oh, what a performance! 6 wonderful points, and at a crucial time, Niall McCarthy got on the scoring sheet with 4 wonderful points. At the end of it all, the Munster semi-final, it ended with that scoreline: Cork 2 goals and 17 points, Waterford 2 goals and 15. Cork are in the Munster hurling final against Clare or Tipperary. Let's get some post-match reaction now. Let's join our sideline reporter this afternoon, Tony O'Donoghue.
Thanks very much indeed. I'm joined by the Cork captain, Sean O'Halpine. Relief, I'd say, is the big emotion, Sean O.
Yeah, definitely, Tony. We're delighted to get out of jail, really. We were back to the wall there, especially at half-time. But we were in a reverse situation last year, and we kind of reminded the lads that the game went over to the final whistle, like Waterford proved to us last year. And our aim was to win today and get to the Munster final, so we've done that.
The dream is still on then of retaining the All-Ireland, but this year you want to win the Munster as well.
Just about today. It was looking dodgy there for a while, Tony, but a win is a win. As I say, we have a lot of work to do, Tony, before we play whoever in the Munster final, but Yeah, we didn't win a Munster final last year, so it would be nice to win it this year.
I'm joined also by Brian Corcoran. Congratulations, Brian. Crucial goal for you when it looked like Waterford had the upper hand.
Yeah, well, you know, we went well ahead in the first half and they came back. So, you know, we knew that if we kept plugging away that we could come back, and, you know, either way there's never going to be much between Cork and Waterford after 70 minutes, and that showed again today. You know, it was a classic last year. It was a great game today, and luckily we came out on top this time.
This year you want to win the Munster as well?
Well, we're taking one game at a time, but you know, whoever it's going to be a tough battle. But Waterford are going to go on, and they're going to be there at the end of the day. You know. So.
Thanks very much indeed, Brian. Thanks for joining us. Back to you, Michael.
Tony O'Donoghue, thank you very much indeed. So then, an excellent win for Cork today, deserving winners, but disappointment obviously for Waterford. They've lost their Munster title. Now with me here in studio I have Sarah Farrell and Gerard Nan still, of course. Game, we thought that it might ratchet up in the second half, sir, and instead the game fizzled out, and when it fizzled out that suited Cork because they just tapped away at it. Yeah, well, like it kind of went dead the second half, but I suppose, Mike, to be fair, the conditions are hard out there, and like they had played such a fantastic first half. Now Cork will be happy, they won't mind. And again, like at one stage, like, you know, Waterford went 5 points up, and Paul Phelan didn't get the point, went up the field, and Brian Corcoran got a goal probably that shouldn't. They made a mistake with the Waterford backs into the back net, brought Cork right back in. There was a strong breeze there. Once they came level at all, they were going to edge that little bit in front. It still was a very good game. Waterford still have a lot to play for, and like if they get their full 15 playing, like John Milan today, who tried so hard, just couldn't get going. Run for him, yeah. But like you couldn't, even though they were beaten, you couldn't go without mentioning Owen Kelly. I thought he gave, I know he missed a few points in the second half, but he gave a fantastic display. 6 points from around wing forward midfield. You won't see much better in this year's championship. Sure. Well, we talked at the half-time analysis, Ger, about some of the players that we didn't see too much. John was obviously one of them, John Milan. We were saying there wasn't too much of Brian Corcoran either. Second half, wind is behind Cork's back. Oh, yeah. Brian Corcoran is in a goal and 2 points. He was the secret to Cork winning the second half, really. In a game that was very lifeless, when so many players with great reputations didn't produce the goods today for some reason whatsoever. You know, I think an awful lot to do with it. It's still only May, and you usually June is the time the players come into full form. Now here's the first goal from Brian Corcoran. This was a vital score because Waterford had the upper hand at this stage. They had got the lead in the second half, but look at the mess between the Cork full back line here. Ball is going out. Ball should have been cleared long ago. Just a flick in by Corcoran. There's nobody covering whatsoever. The centre back isn't covering. The corner back at the far side isn't covering. He's left completely on his own. And keeper beaten at the near post. And even at that, it's not a bullet of a shot. Yeah. You know, and the keeper beaten. So yeah, well, the old fault with Waterford, that full back line. Now you can take it that Waterford will not win in All Ireland with that full back line. Now, what about getting away with the goalie? They will not get away with our full back and one of their cornerbacks. Yeah. They have to make changes in those areas. Yeah. And leaving the like of Brian Phelan on the line from the start today, leaving Joe Dean on what's your name, Tom Feeney, that was suicidal. Now Owen Murphy went over on him in the second half, and we never saw Joe Dean after that. So I mean, the Cork sideline people, they've got to take a bit of slack for what went on today as well. But overall, I thought Cork were the better team. They were the more skillful team, but they have to stop this over-elaboration in their half-back line and their midfield. Too much short passing when the ball could go into the full forward line. They're starving that full forward line. A full forward line that was well on top for nearly all the game. They've been starved of fast, low ball on which they thrived. And when they got that kind of ball, then they were really dangerous. Well, one man in that Cork forward line that doesn't like too much fancy stuff, and he gets the ball in his hand, just looks at the post. Niall McCarthy, their centre forward, scored a couple of crucial points in the second half. To me, Michael, he's the most underrated Cork player of all. Even 2 or 3 years ago, they're giving out about All Ireland against Kilkenny. I thought he had a great game. This guy's as tough as nails. He wasn't playing great today, but like he kept at it and at it and at it. Like he was on Kim McGrath. But catches this ball here, has a little look up, just a flick, and bang straight over the bar, which was Joe referred to, which Cork needed, because up to this they were tip-tapping around and just weren't shooting at all. Now Owen Kelly did in the first step, but McCarthy is strong and he's very direct and he's a good forceful centre forward. And at the end of it all, you know, it's an amazing thing. You don't win a match at the first minute of the game, but having said that, the goal that Cork got right at the start of the game proved to be the difference between them. Well, that was it. It was the start that made it, you know, and the start of the game, you know, there were 5 points up after 3 or 4 minutes. The goal by Johnny, the mistake by Fergal Hartley here, ball to Joe Dean, ball in the back net. His man a mile away from him. Elementary mistakes by a full back line. In Munster Championship, you wouldn't get away with that at the club championship. No, and George, the one team you don't want to give a start like that to is, say, is Cork or Kilkenny. You just can't afford. Usually that will hold for a while. The other team come back with it, and usually they're still good enough to get 2 more scores. That's exactly it. Yeah. You know, even if the other team come back and maybe lead you by a few points, the fact they have got such a good start,
they'll get that lead back again, bring you even, and then once they take the lead, it's very hard to get the better of them again.
Cyril, we've seen 4 Munster Championship teams this weekend. Cork are obviously the pick of the lot of them.
To me, Michael, I know everyone was saying like Cork and Kilkenny are going to be the head of the posse and everyone else is chasing them. Now there's some great games, like last night Tipperary and Limerick.
Excellent.
Tip will improve a ton, and if Limerick hold their head, they'll improve too. Now again, last night to me they played a little bit of a short game that they may not just juice to like and try maybe a Cork little game, maybe a bit more direct there as well. There's plenty of there's going to be fantastic games in the round robins later on, but I think it's still going to come down to Cork and Kilkenny, and I still think Cork will win All Ireland.
Well,
okay, gentlemen.
I would think the opposite, Michael. I think today's game will give great confidence to everybody else left, to Clare and to Tipperary especially, because Cork won today by 2 points against a team whose whole forward line between them got a goal and a point from play. Now, that'll give great confidence to whoever is left there. I know Cork will improve. They're not unbeatable, you know, and I think before the year is out, they'll meet somebody who'll put it up to them in a way better way than Waterford did today.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your thoughts on that. It's almost time for us to wrap up here in Thurles because the big race at the Curragh is coming up shortly.